You know Mike Greenberg, everything ESPN, and ESPN's Mike Greenberg and Paul Hembo tap into all of the best debates from every corner of the sports world in their new book, Got Your Answers, the 100 Greatest Sports Arguments Settled. And Greeny joins us now before he has a big signing out in New Jersey. Greeny, how you doing?
Well, and you were nice enough to write a blurb, as they call it, a nice quote for the back of the jacket, which I've been meaning to get you a copy of the book, and I haven't been able to make it over there. I'm hoping to come up to the studio on Thursday, and I know you'll be at Yankee Stadium, but I'm endlessly appreciative of that, and I'm doing great. I'm on my way to the signing now, and the Jets are playing well. The Giants won yesterday. Both New York baseball teams are going to make the playoffs. I feel pretty good about that.
All right, with the Jets playing the way they did on Thursday, does the air feel a little cleaner? Does the food taste a little better for you, Greeny?
Can I be honest with you? I had people, close friends, people in my life texting me saying, I don't know how to feel. Like, I didn't know this was possible. This is a game I don't even recognize. It literally looks like a different sport than the Jets have been playing. You recognize, intellectually how bad the Jet quarterback play has been for, at this point, what feels like forever. But until you actually see what it might look like otherwise, it's difficult to conceptualize just how bad it has been. And he looked so good. I thought he looked like a different person than he looked like early. And I think that we underestimate just the significance of being off for as long as he was, having to get to feel comfortable on the field, to feel comfortable getting hit, all the stuff that he hadn't done in basically 600 days since the last time he played and completed a game. So I think in retrospect, the fact that the first game looked the way it did is not that alarming. The second game, I thought in the second half they started to find something. And then Thursday night, against a team that I think is bad, but does not have a bad defense, or certainly not a terrible defense, I thought he looked fabulous. So the answer to your question is yes. Food tastes better. The air smells better. Life just feels better.
And the other thing, too, and I was reminded of it watching that game, Greeny, is how big a hockey fan I am. When you look at Wayne Gretzky, he wasn't anything special. He wasn't bigger, stronger, faster than anybody. He was just smarter than everybody else. He just knew where to go before anybody else even thought about it. And that's what I saw from Rodgers. I saw the most intelligent person on the field. And that, I think, can make up for the age and the lack of mobility. If he is going to play at this kind of intellectual level, I think that's more than half of what it takes to be a really good quarterback in this league.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think the analogy I would make is, the pitcher who in his 20s can just blow you away with his fastball, and then the crafty veteran who may lose a few miles an hour off that fastball as he gets older, but has learned all of the tricks and knows all sorts of different ways to get you out. And that's what Rodgers had. Look, at his peak, he might have been the most physically gifted quarterback we ever saw until Patrick Mahomes came along, and now I think has surpassed that. And I think Rodgers still has that ridiculous arm. There's some guys, he's going to be able to throw a ball like that when he's 70. I think Vinny Testaverde could still throw a ball like that. That's not what goes. It's the legs that go, and it is unrealistic to think, to your point, Don, that he will be athletically this year or at any point into the future what he was at his best. But, to your point, he understands what's going on. He knows what the defense is doing half the time, I think, better than the defense does. So, look, I think they've got a shot. I don't want to make myself – I'm trying hard to manage expectations to some reasonable degree. I think the Jets have a chance to be really good.
Well, that's what I was about to ask you, Greeny, is any part of you just scared to love like this? I mean, this has got it. I remember us talking. You and I texted the day after the injury last year, and you were in such a dark place. Are you really ready? Like, let's say they play great again this coming weekend against Denver. Are you ready to really love like that?
Well, it's really a good way to put that. I have long said, and I wrote it in the book once forever ago, people who say it is better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all are complete idiots. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It is by no means better to experience excruciating pain than not to. So, I mean, that's just something that they say to try and make you feel a little bit better. It's like when they say it's good luck if it rains on your wedding day. No, it's not. It's the very definition of bad luck. They're just saying that to try and make you feel better.
Right.
So yes. So to your point, the last few years haven't been as painful as, some of the, I remember being on, Michael, with you and Don, the pinky toe questions and all that stuff when we were making deep playoff runs, what now amounts to 14 and 15 years ago. So, I haven't experienced the kind of nervousness and agony that can provide. But on some level, I've just been numb. The Jets have been so bad. They've been impossible to deal with for what feels like forever. So the answer to your question is yes. I'm ready for whatever comes. I'm that level of excited and that level of optimistic.
All right, so we talked about the book, and you'll be in with us later in the week to talk in depth. But what's the book about, and where is the book signing tonight if people want to actually reach out and touch Greeny?
Yeah, Hembo and I will be at Bookends in Ridgewood, New Jersey at 6 o'clock. I'm on my way there now. And so we will be there at 6 o'clock, and we'll be there until all the pictures have been taken and all the books have been signed, and we'll talk about sports and any number of other things if you're interested. So Bookends in Ridgewood, New Jersey. And what the book is, very simply, is we take the 100 biggest questions in sports. So, for example, who is the greatest ever number one overall pick in sports history? Not in a given sport, not just in basketball or in football, but we will say in basketball, football, hockey, and baseball. Who's the greatest player ever selected?
Bryce
number
Young.
one, and we have the top 10.
Bryce Young.
Ranked from 1 through 10. Bryce Young is on a different list. We do have a list of the greatest draft busts in history, and he, of course, is not on it, and it is premature to put him on it, but we do have plenty of people whose names you will recognize on it, and so we have lists. So the lists are the answers to questions, everything from what is the greatest sports movie of all time to who was the greatest number one overall pick of all time to any number of other things. Those are the kinds of things, but we have 100 of them. And then for anyone who listens to the radio show or watches the TV show, you'll know what I mean when I say we also have 100 Sneaky Hembo trivia questions. So he has a trivia question attached to each one. So my promise to you is if you read this book, you will never, ever, ever lose another barroom argument again.
Can you pass an apology to Hembo for me?
I will be glad to.
It was a few months ago when we played the audio where he said he just didn't find anything good about The Sopranos, and I called him a moron. I'd like to retract that and say his opinion is moronic.
There you go.
But I don't think he's a moron at all. I got caught up,
Don.
and I apologize.
I think you're no. By no means is this worthy of an apology. I think, if anything, you underrated it. The badness, the utter disgrace of that take. It was unquestionably one of moronic. Doesn't begin to tell the story. For people who don't know Hembo was a Vulcan. He doesn't have human emotion.
Well, if you hear him on the radio, he doesn't sound like he has human emotion. That plays.
He doesn't.
Right.
He actually looks like a Vulcan. If you remember, I'm talking to people who are old enough to remember, if you remember what Leonard Nimoy looked like as Mr. Spock, I know they now have all these new Star Trek movies, so I don't know what the person who plays Spock looks like. But Hembo kind of looks like a young Leonard Nimoy, and that may not be a coincidence. I think he is a Vulcan. So let me say this. A, your reaction was by no means overdone. B, that wasn't even his worst take. Like his pop culture takes
please give me one more.
Just embarrassing.
What's another one that's even on the same level?
He could not, and no one believed this was true. He couldn't name a song by the Beatles.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
It's almost impossible to imagine, right? A person who grew up on this planet that could not name a song by the Beatles. And when I played him one, he said, I don't even remember what I played. I played She Loves You. He said, oh, yeah, I've heard that.
That's
so,
sad.
like, he has not lived a normal life. There's nothing normal about Hembo. So believe me, what you said about him was probably the nicest thing that was said about him that day.
Okay.
Well, enjoy the book signing, and again, we'll talk to you at length later on in the week. You'll come in, we'll have a good time, and we'll sell some books too.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
You got it. That's Mike Greenberg. Go see him at Bookends in Ridgewood, New Jersey.